Over the past few years, everything has changed. Where and how we work and live, the way we collaborate and measure success, and the emerging technologies we use to get it all done. Welcome to The Bridge. Join our host, Scott Kinka, in a series of discussions with top leaders in technology and learn about how they bridge their lives and their businesses into our new hybrid work and AI-driven reality. Our hope is that the insights and experiences will help you on your journey in business and in life from who we were to who we are today. And maybe it'll help you get better prepared for whatever comes next. The Bridge is a service of Bridgepoint Technologies, the nation's leading IT advisory firm. Bridgepoint helps business leaders evaluate, procure, implement, and manage technology and customer experience solutions with a focus on realizing sustainable results for your business growth. And now, here's your host, Scott Kinka.
Will VMware's share of the hypervisor market shrink after the Broadcom acquisition? After all, their change in partner and pricing models have affected every one of their customers and sparked a fresh debate about the concept of vendor lock-in. Businesses of all sizes are grappling with continuing, optimizing, or retooling their VMware compute stacks. I posed this very question to two of Rackspace's brightest, Hannah Duce, who runs alliances, including VMware, and Kevin Carter, who's their product director for OpenStack, a potential alternative to VMware. I couldn't exactly get them to duke it out on the podcast, but I loved having them together to show that there's more than one answer to the VMware questions you may be asking yourself or your IT team. This episode will certainly not be the end of the debate, but it will mark the last guest from a service provider. Next week, we'll capstone this mini VMware series with a discussion with Saad Salim, who's a cloud architect here at Bridgepoint. To make sure you don't miss that episode, smash that subscribe button below on YouTube or follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Let's jump into a three-party discussion about vendor lock-in and all things VMware with the team from Rackspace. All right, listeners, thank you for joining us on another episode of The Bridge. This episode will be a continuation in what's been, seemingly for me about a month and some change of VMware-based discussions. I have with us on the show today Hannah Duce and Kevin Carter, who are both from our partner Rackspace. Hannah and Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, let's start. We had Jeff DeVerter on the show. I went back and looked at the episode just about a year ago. Channel Partners was late last year. It was in May. So I think it was probably maybe the first or second episode we released in May. So by the time this goes, it'll probably be just around a year. Jeff is quite a character. Have you guys spent some time with Jeff?
Yes.
I have. Yes.
He's got the best sneakers in the channel.
Absolutely.
Just in general, like the threads, like everything about it. Yeah. It's well done.
For those who didn't have the pleasure of checking out that episode, I will, we'll make sure that our producing team puts that in the show notes so you can check that out sort of as a companion piece. But before we jump into the issue of the day, which we'd really like to chat, and I think we all know what that is, VMware-Broadcom, what that means. Most of the people that are tuning into the show over the past month are still trying to figure out what to do. We're going to get there in a moment, but I'd love to learn a little bit about each of you. If you could just give us a little bit background, kind of how long you've been at Rackspace, what you did to get there, where you're living today, just read it out. Hannah, we'll start with you.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I am based out of San Antonio. I've been at Rackspace almost 6 years. Kind of funny journey to get here, honestly. I come from a food and beverage retail background, ended up in tech. That was almost 6 years ago and started in our mainline sales and then moved into partnerships pretty soon after that. The transferable experience I'd had was I have been in services sales and working with clients in that kind of capacity for my whole career. So that transferred over nicely to Rackspace, and then really was able to leverage a lot of that prior experience in the partnerships area. So where I work now, I lead our strategic alliances and having fun doing that. Kevin?
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Kevin Carter. I'm the product director for the OpenStack IBU. It's our integrated business unit. Here I am speaking in acronyms. But anyways, OpenStack, doing OpenStack for a long time. I came to Rackspace in 2011, left in 2019, and I'm back in September. So I'm a boomerang racker, just getting started. I'm based here in San Antonio. I like to joke, I mentioned this in the pre-roll, but I like to joke that I'm new and I'm still discovering everything. But I know where the things are. But in terms of what kind of brought me here, Rackspace brought me to Texas. I'm a California expat coming from the Bay Area, and been at Rackspace. Well, I've made Texas my home because of Rackspace. So that's what brought us here. Yeah.
You called yourself a racker. So were
Yeah,
you there? Were you there when like fanatical support was the tagline still, or is it still? Do you still say
It
that
still
internally?
is. It still is. I mean, yeah, I've got the fin. No, I don't. But it's not. Fanatical support was our tagline back in the day, and we're doing a lot of internal marketing with the Fanata guy and bringing that kind of spirit back into a lot of the the conversations that we're rebuilding internally and also externally.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because I think, for many of our listeners, depending on whether they were ever a customer or not, or, when they got to know the name, and let's face it, the name is Rackspace at this point. So you guys have had quite a journey, Kevin in particular, like over the last decade plus in time, both of your stints. It's a different company from front to back. I mean, starting in Colo and Racks, right? Into managed hosting, to cloud, to hybrid, to bare metal, to today. I mean, we do quite a bit of work with you guys around hyperscale orchestration and managed services around that. But what I would love to do, let's just have some fun. Returning racker on the tech side, food and bev and services business into running alliances, right? At one of the stalwarts in the industry. I would love to compare commercials. So Hannah, let's do them in reverse, actually. Kevin, you're going to go first. We're in the elevator.
All right.
What's Rackspace?
Rackspace. We are a open source, we are an open technology company building out data centers, hosting cloud, colo, websites. We will basically, and we will do it inside of our data centers and your data centers. And so when I'm describing Rackspace, I really do describe it as we are technologists. Right. We provide services on top of world-class, best in business technology. That's my. We've reached the next floor, right?
Right. Makes sense. Yeah. All right, Hannah, I'm going to come to you. Would you say it differently?
Maybe slightly. Not that the outcome is all that different, but yeah, Rackspace has built a business around providing a fanatical support, and move that into fanatical experience, where we're looking across platforms and really able to bring together what we're now in, which is a multi-cloud hybrid world. And so as you add into that, moving into kind of in 2024 and looking forward, add another element in that of AI and what we're doing around AI and how we're able to bring AI to life in this new space, is where everybody's looking at what are they going to do with AI? How is that going to affect them? How should they integrate that? So I mean, I don't disagree with anything Kevin said. I just might.
You said it better than I did, though, which is fine. Your elevator pitch.
I'm glad I got to put both of you on the spot. No, super interesting. I mean, I have a history on the supplier side of the business myself. I've done a ton around VMware in my career, and it's funny. I mean, and on deals that I've worked, customers that I've worked with, where we've ended up bringing Rackspace in, as I often say, like, you can buy a point expert at any individual thing, but we have a tendency in this industry to put IT leaders in the integration business. If you get what I mean by that, like, and today, I mean, Hannah, what you said, this is a hybrid, like there are workloads that belong in public cloud. There are workloads that work and are most appropriate in a private or a bare metal kind of scenario. There are things that belong on the old, that still work on the, HP DL360, 2U in, in a 40U rack. Like, it just depends on what the workload is. I think what is interesting about you guys is your willingness to span across them and to take responsibility and add support, sort of, I guess eliminating the CIO from being in the integration business in a lot of ways. Is that a fair way for me to look at your business?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good, I mean, we're trying to simplify the complexity and bring our own IP on top of all these
yeah,
great technologies as Kevin talked about, that really ends up leading to a simplified solution for our end customers.
got it, got it. All right, well, let's just jump into the debate with 2 feet, and debate, I guess, is a funny word. The real issue is that I think a lot of customers are still just trying to figure it out, or just figure out what's going on, really, in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. So, Hannah, I'm going to start with you. I mean, you had alliances, right?
Yep,
VMware, undoubtedly, given your history, has been one of those alliances.
absolutely.
Probably over the 6+ years that you've been there, I think VMware alone has probably been purchased 2 or 3 times to
Hmm.
no real effect to the service provider market or customers. This one was different.
Yes.
You were the one that got the letter from Broadcom and had to call upstairs to have a conversation about what was going on. Was that surprising to you? And just tell us a little bit about, kind of the moments after, like how you were thinking about, hey, we have a business that's based around VMware and the rules are changing a little
Hmm. Yep. So not a total shock. We definitely, VMware is one of our longest partnerships. I think outside of Dell, maybe the longest
bit.
technology
Hmm.
partnership. So 15 plus years, Pinnacle partner, all of those things, and have really been super tightly aligned with them. And so the team that we had around us, like from what could be shared, was like we were working together knowing that this was coming. So you just kind of walk through that journey, not a total shock. We were anticipating, when are we going to get all the different things, like what kind of communications were coming. And so, yeah, it was right before Christmas, got all the emails and notifications. So it was a quick call, letting everybody know. And just as they came in, as a lot of people probably experienced, we were also trying to just figure out, what does this impact? Like, what changes? What now? Okay, I see this, I see what's happening, and we've just got to figure out how to navigate now. And so, as many people know, it's been a bit of, something's happening, you just hadn't known the details of it. So
Yeah.
then you fast forward a little bit, get to the more the details, and starting to understand the impact as things were rolling out. What we've known from the beginning is that there's a huge, just with the shifts in the way that VMware-Broadcom is viewing their customer base and how they want to work in the market, that there's a big opportunity for cloud providers like us. There's an
Yeah.
opportunity there to come help simplify some of this message. And so what we've learned through navigating it ourselves, we can help others to navigate as well. And I mean, I can't speak more highly of our VMware team and just the way that they've tried to, partner with us and help us navigate as well. So I definitely want to say that. I mean, it's been a journey. We're still in
Yeah.
it.
And I mean, I would venture to guess that you entered this as one of the larger VMware partners out there.
Yes.
So I'm sure that the news was, while the packaging and you guys having to think about how the bundles would go across products
Right.
and all the things that we've heard about and other things were all things you had to contend with. You didn't probably have to contend with the, hey, do I still have a relationship with
Right.
VMware going forward problem that others did. How
Right.
did you how did you see that affect the broader service provider market? And did you guys jump in the fray to help out any of them? Maybe tell me more about that.
Yeah, good question. So a lot of that's been unfolding. So we needed to assess our own environment, and take care of our customers
Yeah.
that we had. Or that we have. So we have a very large base. To your point, we're one of the top 2 CSPs with VMware. So we needed to take care of that, take care of our customers. That was P1, priority 1. And then the next piece has been, how do we, there's been different discussions with different CSPs. We immediately got, we got the termination notice from the prior program, and right on the heels of it got the invite to the next
Yeah.
one, or not the actual invite. It was, hey, you're going to get an invite.
Yeah.
So we at least had that security of being in the program. So now we're at the place where we're, other CSPs that maybe weren't able to be invited into the new program, working through what VMware's called the white label program. And so us being able to be a CSP to them and have those conversations is a work in progress right now.
Yeah, I find it super interesting though, because now, I mean, effectively, and this probably speaks to Broadcom's view of the market, which we'll get into a little bit later, but you know, having other service providers operate with you as their CSP means that you're providing them support, and then you're then in turn working up through VMware. So it does change that market slightly.
Yes.
Kevin, let me kick to you for a minute. I mean, you're on the product side. I mean, everybody in product is also natively in sales.
Absolutely.
I spent my entire career in product, which means you're talking to customers every day. I guess that's a fair assumption. You're saying 100%.
You're 100%. You are not wrong.
Tell me about those conversations. I mean, what were customers asking you? Where were their fears? And ultimately, kind of where have they largely been landing?
Where they're landing is still evolving, kind of what Hannah was mentioning. However, what they're talking to us about is it's they're looking at us as like a trusted partner to figure out where they go, and some of it is fear, that whole FUD, their fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Yeah.
And so through our Rackspace partners, what we offer as a product, we're able to give them a safe landing zone, be it a reconfiguration of their stack, new hardware, different, licensing, being able to land them into an environment that makes more sense for them and optimizes their dollar, right? I, on the OpenStack side, am also over here like, well, if you're ready to make a move, let me help you in that. And we have some migrations and we have some capability. And in fact, what we can also do is run an OpenStack environment side by side, a VMware environment using some of your existing CapEx. So you're not out, you're not out having to buy brand new kit to support this brand new cloud and then train all of your people on brand new APIs. We can make that soft. But more importantly, we're looking at like what that strategic operation is so that we can, we can bridge that gap for them. We can be that trusted advisor.
Yeah.
So yes, I am absolutely in sales, and that was probably the most salesy thing I could possibly say. But in reality, though, we believe it in the product organization. We are actually being that trusted advisor for these customers and creating those technical solutions that solve their problems.
Yeah. I mean, I love what you said around configuration, right? Because I think that's the flexibility of working in your cloud versus having it on your gear in your data center.
Oh yeah.
And you're replacing a perpetual license. The VMware SKUs went from whatever it was, like 100,000 to 100.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And everything kind of bundled in. And, we've heard reports of, 15% increases to 900% increases. And a lot of that depended on configuration, to your point about reconfiguring, right?
Yeah.
Were they on a memory-based perpetual plan and now they're on a core-based plan? Did they, were they just using, ESX only, but now they have the full cloud fundamental,
have a whole suite of everything.
Now you're like, all right, maybe we don't need to change the hypervisor, but we need to start thinking about like, what's your storage orchestration or what, so is that what you mean by reconfiguring? You're like, it's not necessarily getting them away, all of them. I mean, we'll talk about OpenStack in a minute, but
sure.
But more so like we've got the flexibility from a gear perspective, from an approach perspective, from a knowledge perspective, to sort of help you configure the matches so that the environment and the licensing and the customer's use better match an appropriate use of their, frankly, use of their dollar.
Use of their dollar. Absolutely. Yeah. It's optimizing their existing spend. And there may be, there very well may be a price increase due to, some uncertainties or some configuration of gear that just they cannot let go of or cannot move or cannot migrate. And that, that's a reality of it. And that's unfortunate. But at the same time, we can optimize every one of those compute cycles, every one of those servers and put them to good work.
And this is for either of you want to jump on this, but I mean, did you guys have products that like included the VMware licensing under the base SKU and it wasn't called out as an individual thing? And I guess I'm asking that question in the vein of like, did that put you in a position where you were like, geez, what did you do if that means your cost of goods sold changed on that widget? Like, did you have to face are we increasing pricing? Are we breaking it out? Like, what was your strategy around that? unless you didn't have products that kind of embedded the license, in which case it's a moot question and I can move on.
No, we definitely did. We definitely do.
Yeah.
We have embedded platforms. VMware's embedded into the platform, and it's built around that. So that was part of my, when we first were walking through these changes. Priority number one is to protect our customers and make sure that they are in safe hands and well provided for on the platform that they're on, and that we mitigate as much as we can through things like you're talking about. And this is what's educated us to help us take to market and help our customers move from confusion to clarity as well. And one of those paths is optimizing the environment. So we needed to take a look at our current environment. How do we optimize to the best of the ability to mitigate the challenges that we are being faced with, as well as just working through where does everything need to live? Are these the right pieces? So then you can really take what we've done kind of internally and take it out to customers as well, a similar process. And you walk through, it's like a decision tree. You can optimize and adopt. You can look at alternative platforms. And those could be what we also try to provide our customers choice, like customer choice on this. So we've been with OpenStack, and I'm going to jump into Kevin's lane for a second. You've got OpenStack as an option for replatforming. You've got a variety of things. We have hyperscalers as well. There's different options out there. We just need to navigate and work with our customers to understand what makes most sense for their bigger needs. Where are they headed long term, and can we help them on that journey to maximize their ROI? So,
got it, Kevin. Are the I guess this could go for either of you. I mean, the customers that you speak to, are they using this as an opportunity to at least ask the question, is it time to consider something different? Does that enter, most of the conversations?
It's definitely a part of the conversation. Yeah. It's, I mean, to say it would be a lie, right? It is. It absolutely is. But we are, helping them be, like I said, that trusted advisor, right? So they are asking, is it time to move? And the answer is maybe not. Do you need, license workload that are very tied to a VMware ecosystem that, gives you that security, that capability, that one thing that you need? Then stay where you are and let us optimize that for you. If you don't, and you have the wherewithal to re-platform or move, or you're interested in an open source technology play, let us help you with that too.
Mm-hmm. This may be an overly simplistic question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What are the forks in the road that usually become the things that dictate their path on that? Is it, investment in staff, how much of the administration they're doing locally, how much of the VMware staff? Those are the kind of questions I'm asking you. What are the things you're trying to elicit in that conversation that generally, become the forks in the road to go one way or the other?
I'll give my answer and then I'll defer. But a lot of the, from my point of view, we're trying to figure out how we bring the customer to the technology, right? And so if the customer is, very dev centric, they're using a lot of SDKs, they're using a lot of APIs, they're that is just their normal everyday mode of operandi. That's a pretty good fork. That's a good indicator. Hey, maybe I have a programmable infrastructure that's literally just a collection of APIs that all kind of work together. Let me help you with that and help you train your staff and get you into that ecosystem. I think that's one of the clear indicators that I'm looking for. If they aren't that, if they have a deeply ingrained, IT staff that has been doing VMware since VMware's inception, it's probably, you could absolutely make the argument to replatform, but how much impact is that to your business? And is that really worth it, right? Through our optimizations, could we make it so that the cost impact or change is unnoticeable, right? And then we move on and everybody's happy and we continue to be your trusted advisor and offer you some support, right? And now I'll cede to Hannah.
Hannah, anything to add?
I think Kevin hit on a lot of it. I will say one other component when you look at if they're deeply invested and want, they're going to have a leaning somewhere, just kind of as you talk through the conversations, what's their maturity level within VMware? Do they have a mission critical workload that has to be run on VMware? There are those, they won't certify it otherwise. So those are clear things that you need to stay. And then that gives a trigger as well for not only optimization, but what I'd call like tuning or extracting more value from these bundles. So that's something that Rackspace has spent many years doing as well is, okay, maybe you just had vSphere before, but you're going to the full VCF, VMware Cloud Foundation stack. Are there elements within that we should look to leverage now? Because you're going to get them. So look to leverage, and is there some tech stack displacement that needs to happen, rationalization, really starting, you could speed up your modernization in some areas too, just from the value that you're going to get from this stack now. So that's another aspect.
No, that's a really compelling thought process. I hadn't even really thought about it. I had the people in my head and kind of age of existing gear, maybe. There's a million little details you can put in that you'll go through, but the idea that many people are running other people's applications on VMware and they're just not going to support doing something else is obviously a reason to stay. Were you in any situations where you were sort of waiting on the software vendor to come up with sort of a stance on this? I'm thinking like maybe in healthcare, EHR, like areas like that, where like you were sort of waiting on them to say, yeah, well, like we're recommending Cloud Foundation or, something along those lines.
Yeah. A lot of times you are tied to their approval or stamp of approval certification. So it can go both ways. You're either waiting for them to approve, maybe now it's VCF, more it's, you've got ISVs who are looking at other options as well. So maybe now they're considering, do we need to certify on open options or something like that? So I haven't seen a ton of that yet, but lots of discussions.
Yeah.
So.
That sounded almost like a prediction. So maybe that's my next question. Let's have some fun. Our listeners know I like to get people to look over turn the calendar and throw some stuff out there. So like today, and it obviously depends on who you ask, right? But I don't know, something like VMware is probably 80 to 85% of the hypervisor market, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least where the hypervisor is sort of a thing that's run by we'll have to take hyperscale out of that for a moment. But, where do you think we are in 18 months? Does this change that or kind of just leave that in place? Like, Hannah, what are your thoughts?
I do see, I see a change. I see, VMware, Broadcom's been pretty clear about the fact that they want to focus on kind of these top strategics that they're calling them. So I do feel like there's going to be a natural kind of moving away from maybe some of the smaller ones as support models are changing, things like that are just changing. And I think it's by design to some extent. So I do think there's going to be a natural shift in some of that. And I think some of that's maybe intended and okay. So I'm not going to give you one hard number, like what I think it's going to go to.
No, it's totally fine. I think it was a great answer. I think if I read that back, you're effectively saying like, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, by the way, but you're effectively saying, I'm expecting a move away, but it's probably the move away that Broadcom wants right at the end of the day. If they've demonstrated anything in their various acquisitions, it's that they know how to make money, right? Like in a good way.
That's absolutely a fact. Yeah.
If you think about what the VMware ecosystem became, I probably would have done the exact same thing. It's expensive to try to be all things to all people. Like you can use this by itself. You can use it with the bundle. You can use it outside of the bundle. You can use it with this other person's storage orchestration. You can use it just becomes this thing that becomes very unmanageable. So I don't think, if our listeners, maybe smarting a little bit or concerned are honest with themselves, they probably would have been like, I probably would have done the same thing. Right. Yeah. So, but like, I get what you're saying. You're like, there's going to be attrition, but it's probably planned attrition as Broadcom's really looking at the profitability of their business.
And I think you're going to see a stickiness increase because I think what's going to happen too is that extraction of value of the VCF bundle. So you're going to see some modernization efforts speed up, things like that, using that because they've decided we're not moving away. And then we have other areas that are going to boom as well. So Kevin, what do you think?
Kevin, anything to add?
I think it's the year of the Linux desktop. No, but I think KVM is going to have its day in the sun, right? It's out there. it's been out there, right? The KVM's not new, right? We're talking kernel 2.6. Come on, it's been around for a while, but it's very mature, right? You look at some of the different product offerings that you see around Red Hat, right? With their, they're productizing KubeVirt. They've got the RHV. There's Overt out there. We've got other providers doing other, smaller cloud management platforms that are all built into KVM, and they're all kind of clamoring like, "Hey, KVM's here, and we're doing a thing." We do OpenStack, and that is all KVM based. And so, like, I think KVM is a fantastic hypervisor. And while but then again, that's not an opinion that I have recently created. I've always thought that. So
Yeah.
that's
Makes
my
sense.
answer.
So it does bring up an interesting question that I don't think is getting as much coverage right now. Broadcom spun out the Horizon business, correct? What did that go to private equity? Like it's operating as an independent company?
As I understand it, yeah, it's with KKR.
Okay, got it. So that brings, I mean, we could get this could launch an entirely next half hour of this conversation, which we're not going to be able to do. But like, Kevin, I love your point about the Linux desktop. Like,
yeah.
Have we abstracted enough value out of the OS when we're thinking about things like iPad OS and Android OS and like that, maybe there's a threat to the dominance of the Windows desktop operating system that might be sort of at the end of this chain? All this madness going on right now?
Actually, no. KVM runs Windows virtual machines perfectly.
Okay.
It's actually been a huge point of what we've been doing inside of our, what we're rebuilding inside of our cloud, right? Is getting modernization, and that's not just on the Linux front, right? If you want to run Temple OS, I want to be able to enable you to do that, which is random weird operating system that nobody's ever heard of. But Windows it runs perfectly, right? There are KVM drivers that accelerate it. It's got some really fantastic capability just built into it, right? And then on top of that, there's a lot of like what's out there in like accelerated virtual desktops. We also have those clients available, and we can bring them in using KVM. So no, I don't think Windows is on the decline inside of the hypervisor space because of this shakeup or because of KVM. I think if anything, it goes back to, I think it was Hannah's point originally, is that this is just choice. This is just a different hypervisor that solves the same problem that a customer needs, just in a different form factor.
So one last question before we have some fun. And, if someone's out there thinking about whichever route they go, generally speaking, the service providers want the workloads that they want, right? And sometimes the workload isn't in the fashion that it's, that the platform is capable of supporting. There's obviously going to be transformation projects that are not, subscription services that have to happen to get somebody in the right tooling. These are the kinds of services that Rackspace provides kind of on the way in as well, correct? Or in the move to some new optimized platform.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Yes. So we operate in a couple of different fashions. You've got professional services, kind of statement of work, traditional, and then you have our elastic engineering. So for various technologies and use cases, which allows a customer to be more flexible in the way that they're consuming those services. So they come in like buckets of hours, and then it's more ongoing project based to help. And we provide a pod of people or experts around a certain area, but those people can be swapped out as projects change. So it allows flexibility. It's cloud-like services, if you will.
I like it. All right, well, this has been a great conversation, guys. Lots to think about. I think this will be a great companion piece to the 4 or 5 other conversations we've had over recent weeks. It'll probably end up in our, this will end up in our VMware Resource Center. And we're just trying to help customers, understand the optionality, understand what's out there, think about this really more in terms of what they're trying to deliver and less about what they're trying to deliver it on. I think the latter is a matter of existing expense and existing resource and what makes the most sense in terms of how you're paying for it, perpetually on gear, hosted, what have you. And obviously, we're here on the Bridgepoint side to help customers walk through that. Rackspace, thank you again for your partnership. It's been a long-lasting partnership, and
thank you.
One of our premier partners. So thrilled to have that. Let's have some fun questions. We'll get them out of the way. And then we'll get you on to the rest of your day. So I'll surprise each of you in opposite order with the questions. So we'll make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to start with an easy one. Hannah, I'm going to go to you first on this one. What are you reading right now? What's on your end table?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know.
Fiction, business, like where are you?
There is a fiction book. It's historical fiction. I'm trying to think of the name of it. So terrible there. It's on my Kindle, so I never see the name on the front page.
We could do this. Send it to us and we'll put it in the show notes.
Shoot.
Right? So send it, tell us what it is.
I will. Okay,
all right,
yeah.
Kevin, what are you reading?
Right now it's Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Common.
Okay.
I'm terrible with the name, but that's
what's it about.
It's trying to figure out like how to make adjustments to your business and what you're doing, how you're developing it, but also sometimes it's not necessarily the best idea to run headfirst into things, and so you take a step back, analyze the situation, but make a decision nonetheless. Like there's not analysis paralysis, right? And so
all right, well,
anyways, that's what I'm reading right now.
Our COO says all the time, he's always like, sometimes we got to go slow to go fast.
That's right.
I guess it's kind of the same idea.
That's like the NASA saying, right? Is slow as fast, or what is it? Slow as slow as smooth and smooth as fast. Sorry.
There you go. Exactly.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I like that. All right. Well, then I'm gonna surprise you with this next question because I threw Hannah into the deep end of the pool. All right, so we had COVID, and I'm not having fun with COVID when I say this, but whatever the next human disruption occurs, depending on what you believe, maybe the robots take over. Yeah. Maybe it's the zombie apocalypse. Who knows? But we're all huddled in, and you have only one app that still functions on your phone. The issue is you get to choose which one it is.
Ooh. Only one app, and all the services behind said apps continue to function. I have to imagine.
Well, I think. Listen, you have to judge. All right. I mean, you can always share what you think this dystopian future looks like in your answer, so that you know. But I mean, give me some thoughts.
Yeah, I'm thinking. It's got to be the music. I use Apple Music, but I'm not going to pigeonhole myself into that. The music apps continue to function.
Okay,
I can.
You just go hit download on everything that matters.
Yeah, I'm just like
a copy in case it goes offline.
Star-Lord with a Zune walking around, in a spaceship somewhere. But yeah,
Hannah, what's your app?
I think it might be the podcast app.
There you go.
I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Make sure you download this one before the world ends, so that you can refer back to it.
Well, right?
I appreciate it, guys. It's funny the way, Kevin, you were like, well, are there rules on this? I've offered no rules on this. So I've gotten crazy questions. Some are like, well, I got to have ESPN. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Are we playing sports? I'm like, I don't know what's happening in the world at the time you chose ESPN. Best answer I think I ever got was the Flashlight app.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know what else is going on. So at least I know I can
see around.
It's practical. Yeah.
See, mine's rooted in the cloud, right? If the Apple Music app is working, then the streaming's working, then the cloud is working, and then we're fine.
Right, and everything's good. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, Hannah and Kevin, it was a pleasure getting to chat with you guys today and getting to know you a little bit. I thoroughly enjoyed the interplay with the two of you as well. It was fun. I don't always get two guests on at the same time, but appreciate hearing from you guys on this topic, and I'm sure it was very useful to our listeners. And I'm looking forward to getting the opportunity to chat with both of you again.
I'm looking forward as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You got it. And for our listeners out there, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was useful, and we're looking forward to seeing you on another episode of The Bridge. Thanks so much for hanging with us. Listen, if you made it this far, there must have been some good content, or you're just a fan or a relative of mine. In either case, we appreciate you spending your most valuable asset with us, your time. We don't take that lightly. We'd also like to say one more time that we're appreciative of Bridgepoint Technologies and their belief and sponsorship of this show. We hope that if you or someone you know is thinking about your company's digital transformation, or simply the next IT project that you may not have the resources, budget, or time to get to, I'm sure that Bridgepoint, one of the country's fastest growing technology advisory and procurement firms, can help. Check out bridgepointtechnologies.com Don't forget the E on Bridgepoint, or simply reach out to me at Skinka, SKINKA, at bpt3.net. Also take a minute, please, if you would, to give us a 5-star review on your favorite platform. It helps give us the visibility to reach other people like you. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Bridge. I'm Scott Kinka, and until next time, there's a lot of noise out there in business and in life. Do what you can to be the signal. Thanks.